Yes, friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. Always drama at Chelsea Football Club. It never ends. Just as you think things are calming down, bang, something pops out of the ether and surprises us all. We are, of course, today going to discuss the peculiar, well, maybe not so peculiar in hindsight, but the dismissal, exit of Christopher Vivell, Roberto De Zerbi's pretty sensational comments, and whatever else we feel like. Let's get into it.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Alright, I just want to thank you for all the nice, kind messages. Many of you are enjoying the new format. If you are, please do consider dropping a like on the video, and you are, of course, welcome to subscribe. All the interactions help out us humble little content creators. Yeah. Anyway, big bang last night. Christopher Vivell has left Chelsea. He's on gardening leave. Of course, he was like the guy. That's quite a coup to get him from the RB model. I think we got him from Leipzig, but he helped created their multi-club model, which is a unique, alluring individual for us Chelsea who are looking to build a multi-club model with satellite clubs, of course, having already purchased Strasbourg. I mean, he was apparently like a good guy to get. So very strange. Of course, we got new sporting directors in, Paul Winstanley, Lawrence Stewart. But what's going on with Christopher Vivell? What happened? Well, to try and gain a little bit of insight, we're going to read an article from Nizar Kinsella on the Evening Standard. Let's have a pop at that. Nizar writes, Christopher Vivell will be on gardening leave at Chelsea for the next 12 months to allow Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart to oversee the football structure. The club's technical director was in charge of football globally, but a decision has been made to allow Winstanley and Stewart to control as co-sporting directors. Yeah, but they were like co-sporting directors of Chelsea, you know. The fact how we had two anyway was pretty wild. Like, you generally have a sporting director. I personally have been calling out for one for ages. I know we had Michael Emenalo, he was a technical director. He still did excellent work, by the way, but we haven't had a conventional sporting director, you know, ever, maybe. And now we got two. We got Ruddy too, so we've doubled up on the norm there. But someone in charge of global football, it was a peculiar role for Vivell, but like I said, he was still a really good guy to get. Alliteration there. Something that we really needed. Anyway, let's read on. Vivell was expected to take charge of the multi-club model after Chelsea secured their first partner club, Strasbourg, but left due to having no clear role in the current structure. I mean, if you don't know what the heck you're doing, like, what am I doing here, boys? Yes. Of course, you're going to leave, especially when you've done such good work in a particular role in Europe at a high level. It does look, man, just as I'm sort of like being able to talk up the owners a little bit more, like, yeah, you know, they've done the right thing. They've done due diligence on Pochettino. They're getting these young superstar talents that could potentially perform at the highest level, but would cost them much less, like not Caicedo money, which of course we went into the philosophical detail yesterday. Is Caicedo worth the massive investment? Go watch the previous upload if you're interested in that. So, you know, warming to Chelsea, nice kits, you know, everything's sort of coming back together. And then there's, you know, there's still an element of a mess in the background, because this dude's like, well, you hired me, I don't know what's going on here, I'm leaving. Vivell leaves with Chelsea's appreciation, however, after helping the club on numerous transfers since joining in last December. Did he? I mean, if I suppose thanks for that, then I guess. We did sign a lot of players in January. Chelsea are working to establish a new recruitment structure with numerous highly respected staff overseeing various aspects of the deals. Joe Shields is another with significant influence as a director of recruitment and talent, alongside Kyle McCauley, who was brought in from Brighton alongside former manager Graham Potter. Yeah, Kyle McCauley is a really interesting one, because he was like Potter's right-hand man, like his bro, his boy. Didn't he bring him around certain like different clubs? Wasn't he at Swansea and maybe in Östersunds before that? Maybe I'm creating that in my mind, but I swear he was like his guy to follow him around. So for us to poach him like that, hold on, we haven't poached him. He's like, you know, on our team. You know, generally when a manager leaves, he brings his posse, his crew, the mandem, he brings with him out of there. Do you know what I mean? So very strange. But then again, we also kept Bruno Saltor, and he was not long ago a player for Brighton and then became a coach for Brighton, and now is a coach for Chelsea. But he's highly rated. Poch likes him, so keep him in the gang, I say. Todd Bowley, who was interim sporting director last summer, has massively reined in his activity at Stamford Bridge. The club's owners remain informed on transfers, but don't get involved on a day-to-day basis. Badal Bali and Jose Feliciano have been around the team during their pre-season tour of the United States, and of course Brighton midfielder Moises Caicedo is Chelsea's #1 transfer target currently. Moises Caicedo. Of course, we play Brighton very, very soon indeed. I made a joke about setting up an idea of him starting for Brighton, going in at halftime, coming out in a Chelsea shirt. That's the kind of thing that you could probably arrange in a friendly in America from our owners, and it would be a massive talking point. Though the Brighton correspondent for The Athletic has reliably informed all his readers that Moises Caicedo will not feature for the game against Chelsea, which probably in hindsight or upon reflection makes sense, but their excuse is he's just arrived and he's not fit, so whatever, so he won't be involved. But yeah, I mean, it would be silly to play him. Imagine if he got injured like hours before a potential transfer. That would be a record transfer easily for Brighton. I think Brighton, we're about to get onto them and what De Zerbi said and the infuriating nature of that. But I think they are okay to keep Moises Caicedo. They don't need the money, but they probably recognise, should they get the money they want, this is a sale they would prefer to happen because it's loads of friggin' money. And apart from not wanting your own player to get injured and not coming out campaign generally, although you need to play players in pre-season to gain fitness, you just, that risk, you don't take the risk when a massive money transfer is potentially on the line. Anyway, we are going to move over and talk about De Zerbi, his comments in just a second now, but let me know what you think of Christopher Vivell essentially leaving Chelsea. So it doesn't look like he's sacked. It sounds like he's essentially walked away. And because he's walked away, he's been put on gardening leave, which I think just means he gets paid essentially for a year and he can just go chill out and do what he wants and maybe think about his next job, which is pretty, I was going to say nice. It is kind of nice, but at the same time, it should have never have come to this. We should have never have got into this position. Look, in the future, this kind of story you'll put down to breaking eggs in the massive omelette. Chelsea are in this gnarly transition phase in terms of people at the club, behind the club, change of ownership, change of management, change of entire squad, change of footballing structure, how the club is run, all of it. And with that, along the way, you get, an Aubameyang situation. You get seemingly a Christopher Vivell situation. Heck, you even get a Graham Potter situation. I won't say a Frank Lampard situation because that situation was already following a bigger situation. Drink every time I say situation. All right then, baby girl. Let's read an article here on Courtside by Ben Jacobs, of course, CBS reporter as well. Well informed, out in the USA at the moment following Chelsea and reporting along as he goes. Let's jump into the article from Jacobs and see what he's saying. Brighton boss Roberto De Zerbi says he's planning next season with Moises Caicedo in his squad. Chelsea have seen bids of £60 million and £70 million rejected this summer as the sides prepare to meet for a pre-season friendly in Philadelphia on Saturday as part of the Premier League's brand new summer series. Sources have told Courtside that Caicedo is, quote, extremely disappointed, end quote. A move hasn't happened yet, but De Zerbi is still hoping to keep the Ecuadorian midfielder at the club. Quote from De Zerbi: at the moment, Moises is a Brighton player. I spoke to the club owner Tony Bloom and he told me if the conditions don't change that Moises stays with us. I don't know how the situation will end. It's clear the situation at the moment. He stays with us until the owner changes my mind. I don't know what will happen in the future, but if Moises leaves, we have to find the right player because it's difficult to replace a player as good as Moises. Yeah, he's good. I know he's good. Everyone seems to think he is the one though. I'm yet to be convinced, but I'm certainly open to being convinced. Caicedo only recently signed a new 4-year extension in February with Brighton with a further club option for an additional year. But those close to Caicedo reveal in doing so he was verbally promised he could leave should a reasonable offer arrive this summer. However, De Zerbi denies he personally gave such direct assurances. Before we read this quote, yes, this was the understanding across all media platforms that not just Moises Caicedo, also Mac Allister, of course, World Cup winning midfielder who went to Liverpool for like 30 million quid. Why do they get 30 million quid midfielder and ours costs 100? Ours didn't win the World Cup. Yes, I know ours is younger and maybe contract length, but still, come on Brighton, you're taking us for a ride. But this was reported across multiple platforms and, broadcasters and, different publications that yes, both of them have been told they can leave and, in the summer, they're high profile, they'll generate revenue. And Moyes seems to think, what's going on here, boys? These guys have bid £70 million for me. This would by far be a record transfer for you. This is more than double than McAllister went for. What is going on? De Zerbi responded with this: "It is not true. I am the coach, not the owner or sporting director. In my work, I am used to speaking with my players every day, but I don't give my word for nothing. You have to speak with Tony Bloom, not with me. If Moyes wants to leave, he has to see me. He's extended his contract in February, and now we are in July." Hold on, if he extended his contract in January, and they said, yeah, you can go, mate, and now he can't go, and then the gaffer's coming out going, yeah, he's just extended his contract. Of course he's staying. You would be so annoyed. You'd be fuming, you would be. Especially as a young lad as well, 21 years old, you'd just feel so frustrated. Of course we don't know the absolute details and the ins and outs of the situation, but if it is as it seems, oh my, you'd be annoyed, let's say. So after 5 months, I don't know if he can change his idea. In the case he wants to leave, and in the case if Tony sells him, we have to find the best player for us. One complicating factor in the talks for Caicedo is Brighton want to sign Chelsea centre-back Levi Colwill, and Chelsea have of course already rejected a £30 million bid. Yeah, because he's probably the highest rated young centre-back in England at the moment, and you bid 30 million quid, and you're asking for 100 million quid for not even probably the highest rated centre back in England. Do you know what I mean? Midfielder in England, in Caicedo. I know we've gone over this again before, but it's just so infuriating. And the thing is, it is infuriating, but at the same time, they have our balls in a vice. And I think that's probably what upsets me the most about this. I think what upsets me most about this situation is my balls are in a vice. Chelsea's stance is that Colwill is not for sale, but Brighton still aren't ruling out bringing back the England under-21 international. Colwill had a one-to-one with the Chelsea manager Maurizio Pochettino to discuss the season ahead and is keen for instant game time to give himself the best possible chance to be selected for Euro 2024, since England manager Gareth Southgate has made it clear that he's thinking. Yeah, to be fair, I know everyone's on the fence about Levi demanding game time, but it is tricky if you know you're in form, you know you're playing well, and the England manager, who you don't know, by the way, I don't know if Gareth Southgate's going to be in past this Euros. I think maybe he'll go on after, he'll pass on. He's not going to die. He will go to another job, maybe, or retire. I don't know what he's going to do. Point being, he probably won't be England manager for my money. So if you're Levi and the gaffer saying, look, if you play consistent minutes all season, you can be in the England squad, maybe even start, mate. Which is saying one thing, but look at Harry Maguire. He's like 5th choice centre back at Man United, and apparently he still gets played for England. So Gareth Southgate is maybe full of sugar. Zerbi goes on to say this: "I'm proud of Levi because he showed his quality with the national team at the under-21s Euros. I'm happy for him. I love him, but he is not our player. And there are 2 questions, not only about Caicedo, but also about Colwill, and maybe there can be a swap. Maybe you can..." Yeah, okay, let's read on. "It's not my work, the transfer market. My work is to stay on the pitch and organise the players. But of course, it's better to work with great players, and both are great players. Those close to Caicedo hope a face-to-face talks in Philadelphia take place between Brighton and Chelsea could resolve his future. But for now, Chelsea haven't placed a 3rd bid, and if they do, they wish to stick closer to £80 million rather than £100 million. Yeah, I bet they do, because that's less money. That's 20 million big ones less. Yeah, look, man, if we get Moyes Caicedo for 80 million, from reading your comments in previous videos, a lot of people are like, yeah, just get him, man. We need him. He's such a necessary profile. He is very good. The team, needs him. You got Pochettino speaking in the post-match, the pre-match press conference yesterday before the Brighton game. He wants signings ASAP. Yeah, there is a case of just pay the money. Do you know what I mean? And look, to the credit of the owners, I think they are trying to just, they spend money on players for managers. There's one thing we've seen so far, whether it's Thomas Tuchel or Graham Potter and now Pochettino. Granted, we started a little bit slow with only signing Nico Jackson. And of course, we've got the arrivals of Nkunku and Malo Gusto now as well. But it is still a little bit slow by their standards. And obviously, we've not actually addressed the biggest issue here, which is midfield. It's a shame we don't have an alternative to really throw a spanner in the works and put pressure on not just Brighton, but a little bit of Caicedo to put in a transfer request, and just be like, look, let's just get this done. You're not all that. You're not all that, Brighton. We can get, what's his face to come in, and then maybe a bit of pressure's applied, and then if his Caicedo's head's turned, they might be worried about performance, application, the classic, narrative of transfers that didn't go. It happened a little bit with what's his face, the centre back that went to Barcelona, the French centre back from Sevilla. Anyway, his name is evading me. That's really annoying, actually. Oh well, he wanted to come to Chelsea. He was disappointed when the deal didn't happen, and then eventually just went to Barca anyway. So screw him. Anyway, let me know what you think. Of course, loads of drama. De Zerbi's words talking about Levi's swap and him wanting Levi Colwill and, not letting Moises go. Boo! The circus regarding Christopher Vivell and him walking away. I'll be looking forward to reading your comments. Please do leave them down below and do consider liking and subscribing. And that's it, friends. I'm out.